girl. It was
Yeah, you did.
All sides, wasn't it? Yeah.
She was a brilliant woman who knew what she needed, but didn't understand that she was hurting the person who was doing her very best to give her exactly what she wanted. But you didn't know how long this was going to last. I mean,
exactly.
To run out of resources would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, would it have been a disaster for this woman?
Yes, because she needed 24. She really did need 24/7.
She absolutely did.
Although towards the end, when she was in the memory care unit, as she got worse, she didn't need to go to the bathroom at night. She would use the Depends. It wasn't
she was not as tuned into her body, so that was not as big an issue.
Yes. So actually, towards the end, and as she got worse, it was easier to care for her.
She started to let go of being in this world.
Yeah. It would. Yeah, and we started to let go too. She was in hospice at that time, and I told the hospice people, as bad as it sounds, Mom's, it's better now for Mom not to be on this earth. I don't necessarily want to do anything to prolong her time with us. And I didn't want them. They came in every week and they wanted to take, I'm pointing to my fingers, you can't see it, the pulse ox. They wanted to do the pulse ox, they wanted to measure this and that. And I said, I don't want you to do any tests on Mom. Just leave. Yeah, you could come in and visit her and
just be with her. Just be with her. That's all she's looking for. That's why I need you there. I don't need you to measure stuff.
Exactly. We're not giving her oxygen if we want her to be comfortable. That's what you're there for, is to make sure she's comfortable late in the disease. But the nurses, they always wanted to give her something.
They didn't know what to do with themselves. Exactly. They did not know how to handle it.
I kept having to tell them, no, do not do that, because any information you give me is just I'm going to try and make a choice on that information. I don't want any more information.
No, and your mom doesn't need that stressor. Why put something on her finger she's not going to mess with her hands like that? I mean, what's the value of that? What are you going to do with the data?
Yeah, that's exactly what, unless it's going to help you make a decision, I don't want to know. Yeah. If it's not a decision-making point, don't do the test. And the hospice people were not used to hearing that. I don't know how many people have ever told them that.
Not very many, because most families are still trying to treat whatever can be treated. And you got that what's really wrong with my mom, I can't touch and can't be treated. And it's the pain of still being alive without being able to live.
Yeah.
She wanted to be able to live the way she wanted to. And if she couldn't have that, she didn't want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. She was, a do not resuscitate, a do not transport. Once they were going to bring her to the hospital. They had her all dressed up to go to the hospital because she regurgitated. And they were
my heavens. It's like, guys, you're supposed to know how to deal with this.
Yeah. So, but luckily somebody called me and I said, absolutely not. Do not. No. She was, then I had there's actually, in addition to a do not resuscitate order, the do not transport order. Yep. And I had to get them to do one of that so that they were not to, keep her comfortable. That's all.
That's all I need you to do. Why are you making this harder? I mean, that should be straightforward. Yeah. So once again, this is like the third courageous conversation I think I've had over time, where a hospice agency is really having a difficult time being a hospice palliative care support agency. They keep wanting to be something else. And it's like, I don't want the pressure wounds managed. Anything other than are they hurting her? No. All right. Well, let's leave them alone.
Took such good care, Mom. She had no pressure wounds. We turned her. I mean, for 5 years, we kept. Mom had no pressure. She did have constipation, was a general problem.
Always.
So I spent much more time discussing her bowel movements than I ever want to spend time discussing anybody's bowel movements. But it got to the point where we had a whiteboard in her room, and we called it the BM board, and we would write on there when she had.
Well, that was the thing that would make her the most uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so because you were seeking comfort for her, boy, was it important to document every little bit.
And it was hard because with at the the memory care unit, there's three staff. They say it's all in the computer, but I don't think anybody ever looks at all that.
You have to put it in the computer, and then you have to go pull it out so you can see what's in there.
And when I popped in every day, I wanted to be able to look on the wall there and see that she's gone, and it's not 3 days, and
and now we have close to an impaction.
Yeah, and
good luck.
We had a few of those, and it was
miserable.
It was not fun, but the people in the unit actually didn't mind. The Marine thought that it might be, because we're asking them to do some additional work, write it on the board, but
she wasn't going to a lot of activities. She wasn't getting, in and out of bed regularly. So it's like, no, come on, guys. This is really important for her comfort.
They did it. And, eventually they like I said, I had a history of being an advocate. So I had no problem going up to the nursing station. Mom hasn't gone. What are we going to do?
Good job. And you were there every day, Judy.
It was a mile away. I was working, but I was working from home. I preceded the whole pandemic. I had been working from home for 5 years, about the time Mom started. So it worked out well that, on my lunch hour or whenever I could squeeze, get an hour in. I went over, to visit Mom. In fact, I liked not going the same time every day. So that you could catch different shifts, and they never knew when the daughter was going to pop in. And
you got your role. You understood your role. Now, what I'm going to say to you is really important, and I want you to hear me. It's a very lonely place.
Yeah, you're right.
Because you can't get so friendly with anyone that you forget why you're there.
No, an advocate is not there to make friends, unfortunately. My brother, it turned out, and he did go over to the Sunrise, and he was the schmoozer. He was there to all he did was chit chat, and they
all liked him.
Yeah, they loved him. Exactly. I was the bulldog. I was the one who was responsible to make sure that she's the one that's going to go to the director and complain. She's the one that's going to do that, and that was the role that I learned from my children for advocating.
So you didn't get, unlike when she was at home and you had your cousin there to support you.
Yeah.
You did this alone.
Yeah, no, I did that part alone, but I was sort of used to that part from my kids, and
you were, but your kids loved you unconditionally.
That's true. They never complained that Mom was being. In fact, I taught them to be self-advocates, and it's so wonderful now when I see them, when they move into an apartment and they need a hearing impaired fire alarm installed, that they get that, they do exactly that and get they have turned into be self-advocates. And I just have to tell you, whether you use this or not, I did have to wind up advocating for Mom under the ADA Act that I learned. She was going to a senior center before she got too bad. She wanted her helper, the person we hired, would drive her to the senior center every day. They would stay for chair exercises, trivia, lunch, and then come home. Wow. And then she would take a nap. So she was gone every, 2 or 3 hours every day. And then the senior center decided she was, she couldn't go to the senior center anymore because her dementia, she needed to progress into adult daycare. but she didn't need adult daycare because we were already paying for someone she needed to get out of the house for 2 hours a day to keep her, so she wouldn't be so bored, and the senior center was just perfect, and they were going to kick her out. And I said, no, you don't. You are a county, under ADA, that it is, she is a protected, the dementia, didn't have enough activity. And I think I sent an email to half of the county officials telling them that I was going to bring action. I never wound up bringing them to court or anything because they told the senior center, okay, well, you need to let her in. And it was so great because LexisNexis, I don't know if you know that the search. Yeah. There was a case in LexisNexis where they did bring them to court, and it was pretty much the same facts that they could not discriminate against the person with the dementia because she had the helper there.
Right.
Without the helper, if I dropped her off and just said, you take care of her. No.
Okay.
But since we had the helper there, so I was just really continuing my, and unfortunately, Mom she declined too quickly afterwards. She only got to use it for 4 more months, but it was.
Wow, though. So you stretch the umbrella for other people, because I'll bet you in that county, they will never again automatically send a note home. Yeah, your person has dementia, and even though they have a helper, we think they need to be in adult daycare. And it's like, pause. No.
Exactly. No. That's not where.
Wow.
So I was taking. That I was very happy when I was actually won that sort of discussion.
Well, what I'm going to tell you is these little wins that you had as we move forward over time as a movement for people living with dementia, having rights and having responsibilities, but also having rights. These little wins that you had will serve as the resource where we start talking about dementia as a disability, not a death sentence, but a disability. Yes, people die at the end of it, but till they die, we're going to need to be their advocates and to step forward and say, whoa, why are you telling me she can't come here? She has the support, the assist. She may not be doing what everybody else is doing, but she's enjoying it. And you know what? Just because she doesn't do it the way other people do it, she's still enjoying it.
Plus, you get them, if you're familiar at all with ADA law, which I was for my children, you get them with the real kicker, plus you are required by law to provide her equal access to the senior center. It would, if she wants to come, is not a big deal, but you are required by law to do this.
You're not taking tax money and then not doing this, guys.
Yeah. So, now I've found advocating for my children, and then Mom was, if you know the law, you at least.
Good job, Judy. Wow.
It's not an opinion. You're not dealing with a daughter. You're dealing with somebody
who gets this.
Who's not afraid to advocate for them. But
so I'm curious, what ultimately led to your mom's demise? What actually caused her to pass?
Lack of eating, really. She stopped eating, drinking. She sort of just wasted day, and we didn't force her. We always offered her food. Nice. We always offered her water. And in fact, I remember one of your videos where you were helping an older woman who, and you decided not to force her.
Control. Said, please stop, and I said, okay, I will.
Yes, I listened to that video, and that's, I said, well, we're going to continue offering Mom everything that she would ever want in terms of food or liquid, but we're not going to. We're not going to force it down.
Wow.
And so she died. She obviously lost a lot of weight, but once she stopped drinking, it was tough. And
well, so she went, as she said, she wanted you to let her go. that's how she wanted. She didn't want extraordinary means. She wanted to live as long as she was supposed to live, but not live past when she was supposed to live.
Oh no, she wasn't happy. That whole last year in the assisted living, she, in hindsight, she could have done without. But what are you going to do?
You don't know that going in. I mean,
exactly.
Pick the door. I mean, you don't know what else is going to. You couldn't have stayed at the house. And what so your mom passed. And you were thinking, okay,
all
right,
yeah, and then
I'm
the
done now.
pandemic hits. Mom had before the pandemic hits. And I had planned to retire, and so the retiring was planned, but I had planned to retire to a stay-at-home situation. I had planned to do a bunch of things when I retired. Although I must admit, in the last 5 years, I lost a lot of social contacts. I didn't have any sort of socialization. There was
when would you have done that? When would you have found that bridge?
Yeah. So that, I didn't really, it's like, I think I wrote to Matthew, I went from 100 miles an hour to a dead stop.
You're parked. And you're not at a particularly nice overlook. You're just parked along the side of the road and you're seeing a whole lot of people go by.
Yeah, it was. Wow. That's when I started stalking you. I said, I'm going to go to all these webcasts. Dementia was only one of them. I've gone to, some on finances and retirement and anything that interests me. There were an awful lot of webcasts.
Oh boy, have there been a bunch of those.
Yeah, so now I'm tired of webcasts.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm tired of them too.
I've done my bit. Actually, I'm going to go back to school in the fall.
Doing what?
Well, it's weird. I'm an accountant. I'm a CPA by training.
Wow.
That's where I worked for 40 years. And I'm going to go take another accounting course. I'm taking a forensic accounting course. I want to be.
You're going to be an advocate.
One of the people that follow the money and stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't really decided. And part of me looking at dementia was whether I wanted to spend some time being an advocate for those with dementia, whether I wanted to work with dementia, whether I want to work with the hearing impaired for my kids. There's it was all these things I wanted to decide what to do, but I couldn't decide them all from the house. But I couldn't do anything other than stay in the house.
Yeah.
Now
did you get to celebrate your mom's life at all?
We had after she passed, I needed to, we had a quick celebration of life. I wouldn't say it was a celebration of life. I would say for me, it was just one more tick mark on,
I did that.
Settling the estate, having the celebration of life. So we did, it was in the house. We invited, the family, a small family, some neighbors, and actually some from the memory care unit.
I bet. Yeah.
So we were able to do that, and that's my. Hey, will you ignore the phone, or do you want me to shut it off? Okay. So we had the celebration of life, but for me it was not a celebration.
You weren't there. I mean, that was now. I want to know: did you ever get to grieve your dad's loss?
No, mom and my brother did not want to do anything for dad. So after dad passed, it was just another day.
Straight on forward.
Actually, the celebration of life was sort of for mom and dad, and actually, if more for anybody, it was for my kids. My kids spoke at that, because they were close to their grandparents. And so, they did get to, and anyone who tells you you lose a parent, and it's the oddball times that I grieve my mom and my father. I don't know what kicks you off, but every now and then you start shed a tear.
Okay, so they have a term for it these days, and it's called sneaky peeks. So they sneak up on you, and then it's a peak of pain. It's a peak. I mean, and it peaks like it just spikes. it's a real hard spike. It's like somebody shoving a needle in your brain, the amount of sudden loss you feel. And at the same time, it's almost like you could hear their voice. It's almost like you could see them, and you really miss them in that moment. It's super intense. And it's so weird that you don't know even who to say anything to, because it's such a weird sort of phenomena. But we're finding out that it actually is pretty common, that people have it, and it's called sneaky peaks. And there is no deadline on it. There is no timeline on it. It's not like you have this and it will only happen for 6 months, or it will only take a year. So what you are doing, I think, I think you're grieving lots of things.
I probably am.
Number one, your dad, which you never got to do. Number two, your mom. I mean, you're still grieving that because it wasn't perfect.
And one thing this thing has taught me is I don't want to burden my children the way mom did it, although she may not have set out to do it. But if there's some way I could spare my children going through what I did, I'd like to do that.
Yeah. And you're a great planner. So it will not surprise me if you don't come up with something that will do that very thing. And you're not going to rest until you do.
Yeah. We've been talking about like moving in as we get into our 70s and 80s, being in some place where they can provide the care should you need it, you know, that so that I pick the place, not my children when they're under the gun, like, you know, you need to place your mom somewhere.
And you know what your financial story is. I mean, you're ahead of the game in that you get the financials big time, and you know you got to plan this out, and you just can't luck of the draw kind of thing. And
no, it's not a, you know, the one thing that I could say we were blessed with was financials were not a problem.
We're fine.
And hopefully when we pass, my husband and I will have saved enough so
that you'll be able to do it and made some
for mom and dad, for my kids.
So Judy, you're grieving a few other things.
Okay.
You're grieving that you didn't get to be friends with people as much at the facility. I mean, although you're a strong advocate, it wasn't without a cost.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, and you didn't get to be friends. You didn't get to make friends. You didn't get to be friends. And so you have been lonely a really long time now.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
And you don't have friends. The friends from before are long gone. You let go of all those friends. You retired. You lost all those friends.
The work friends. Yeah.
You've been working at home for a while, so you were disconnected, but you still are missing people.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're not alone. You're not a lone ranger. You never intended to be a lone ranger. You like people. I mean, you like being with people. You are an optimist and you will figure it out, but you're really lonely.
That's probably true.
I mean,
yeah.
You have a very lonely life right now.
I'm not used to being by myself. No. I'm used to being in the office every day.
Yeah. And you're the kind that would bring something for people too. And so everybody would meet in the coffee room to try out whatever you brought in.
No, I'm not quite that much, but I was always interacting with people. I was not alone.
Yeah. I mean, in every way that you did this, you lost a little bit more of your joy center.
Okay.
And you didn't get your joy button repushed. I mean, there wasn't a lot of joy for, I'm going to say 6 years now.
At least, yeah.
Because your dad's situation was not joyful. I mean, that was hard. And you've had a lot of, it's not one loss. You have lost your job.
Yeah.
You're tired, but I mean, essentially you lost your job.
Yeah. And I was all in my job. I loved that job. I retired, but I was one of the few people, I guess, who could say I really enjoyed what I did.
You loved what you did. You lost your job as an advocate.
Yeah. Yeah.
You lost your mom, you lost your relationship, your kids, you got them off the payroll and they're doing great, but
they're moving on. Yeah.
They're moving on. You don't have them to advocate for anymore.
Yeah,
they did great. You get it, but
Yeah,
There's a
no,
lot
I
of,
get it, but yeah, what's the next step? Yeah.
yeah. So what is this next thing you're going to do that's going to make a difference?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and clearly you are. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the one thing I know. You are an eternal optimist, but the thing I can tell from having spent time with you, you're not done with something. Now, where that road takes you, I do not know which road you'll end up on.
Yes.
But you're great wherever you are going to be great at it, wherever you go.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
Wow.
it. Yeah.
I mean, you're remarkable. I mean, you truly are. You came through this. I mean, what you did for your mom, what you did for your dad, what you did for the people in that facility, in that community. You held Maureen accountable, but that's a good thing. And she held her people accountable because of you. And people got better care because of you being there. But it's a lonely place to be.
Yes, you're right, but I think it was a necessary place to be.
Oh.
I wouldn't have chosen any other place to be.
But now you're empty.
Yeah, you're right. Now I need
this thing is sort of, I mean, that's not even just that. I mean, now you don't have that much in there. And you're having to start from zero in a lot of it.
A new cause almost. Yeah. That's what I need to do.
So I'm going to be real curious when you get into the class, if it's as exciting as you think, or if your brain goes, yeah, no, this isn't it after all.
It may not be it. It may be something with dementia, it may be working with, the Lewy body or Alzheimer's or whatever.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you truly are going to continue to have these moments, but I think you're going to start remembering the moments when your mom said something good.
Yeah, that is true. Mom did. You know how I found you? Mom had so much faith in me, and she thought I was so smart. She goes to me one day, "You go home and find a cure for this." And I went on the internet looking for a cure for dementia, and that's where I found you.
Oh, because I say until there's a cure, there's care. And
in some of my Google searches, I was looking, for obviously a few.
Yeah, you're looking for magic. Yeah.
But Mom had such faith in me and thought that I was, so smart that I would be able to find a cure for dementia.
You found a cure for a lot of things. I mean, wow, what a remarkable person, Judy.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, because I don't think of myself as remarkable.
I know you don't, and that's what's so crazy. I mean, you do all this work and you get it. And you absolutely just look in the mirror and go, I got my shirt on. Yeah. And you keep going. But wow, boy, your dad had to be an amazing guy.
My father was truly, my father was a chemical. He was really a brilliant man. He was a chemical engineer, and he was really smart. One of my other cousins says, he's the smartest man I ever met. And I was Daddy's little girl, and Dad was up there on that pedestal. And even my husband, whom I love dearly, was sort of a little, couldn't quite make it to the dad.
Not quite to Dad. Yeah, not quite to Dad.
But that's a girl and her father. I don't think that's unusual with
nope, you're not.
Yeah, but
and so
and I said he left enough money for my mom. He was raised in an orphanage, so it was all self-made. And he came from an orphanage, and he earned enough money to take, as you know.
Wow.
He did. It was not cheap at the end.
No, not a bit.
Paying out a lot of money for Mom's care, and he left her with enough that we could afford to do that, which was, just
that's remarkable.
Godsend. Yeah.
Wow. What a caring guy. So if we had asked him, what's special about you? I just do what I need to do. He didn't blow his own horn either.
No, he didn't. And he was also the type of guy that with the kids, if my son was interested in video games, he would know all the latest video games coming out. He would know whatever the person was interested in, he would make it a point to know that, so he could talk to them. He was just, my father was, you're going to hit one of those points. So what was that? The
sneaky peeks, those sneaky peeks. You're
going to get me to a sneaky peek, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. but I also know that he needs a seat at the table, and you haven't been able to give him a seat at the table for a long time. And celebrating your dad, you never got to do it. And and you really do need to light that candle for him and celebrate him separate from your mom. Your mom was another person, but your dad, that quiet hero who really did all this heavy lifting, this hard work that allowed you to do the work you did with your mom, only happened because of him. And his light went out, and it was like your mom didn't want to grieve that.
I don't know if my mom could, if the Louie had already gotten so far. She really couldn't.
She just couldn't do it. And that meant you didn't get to do it because you had to pick up and take over where your dad had been.
Left off. Someone had to keep the family going.
Wow.
Someone had to step in, and it was either the woman with dementia or me.
It's got to be you.
Exactly.
It's got to be you. So you get to celebrate your dad. Wow. What an amazing guy that made you. No, I will. I actually, I'm going to try and celebrate, recognize that I didn't really get to more. And I bet you didn't get to do that on Memorial Day either.
No. But I should. I
think there's some closure coming there, because I don't think you can close your mom's story until you get a chance to close dad's story, because his story never really got to be told very much.
No, it didn't, and his story should be told.
He should be.
He was a wonderful man.
And I would bet you don't earn what he earned by being run-of-the-mill chemist.
No, he was successful in all aspects of life. Let's just put it that way. He was a good man.
And he loved his grandkids, and he figured out how to connect.
And he was more involved with them than most grandparents, because he helped when they were younger and they needed to be taken to appointments for speech therapy and hearing and whatever, and he would drive them while I was at work.
Did they use American Sign Language or not?
No, my son has a cochlear implant.
Wow.
And actually he's getting the second implant this summer. They're both verbal. When we first decided how to deal with them, we tried to see that, sign language was a choice, but we said if we could get them,
if they can get to where they can process,
use some of their residual hearing, they would have more of a chance of interacting with more people. If you're limited to sign language, you're limited to only
the deaf community or people who know it.
And I think we made the right choice, because the hearing aids and the technology has gotten so much better, and they can enter. My son is worse than my daughter. My daughter can, she can almost pass for hearing, but my son is it's not been easy. Not hearing. There's a lot of social interaction. There's a lot of social aspects that doesn't pick up on it, things like that. But both kids, like I said, my son has a master's degree. My daughter's graduated from William and Mary in Virginia.
Wow. And
they both have jobs and are doing just, like I said, knock wood. They're successful young people, and in fact, my daughter just got engaged, so we're planning a wedding. Things are moving, and no, I feel very proud of my children.
Well, you're proud of a lot of things, except you don't tend to take that much pride in yourself, sort of like your dad. But seriously, you are a remarkable person. And so thank you for being who you've been and who you will be.
Hey folks, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to help us spread Teeps's positive approach message around the world. And don't forget to click the bell to get notified when new videos are posted.